Hey everyone. Welcome back to the Break Vape podcast, episode 35. I am your host, Tami Ernst. I am a life coach, a former vapor, and not a mathematician. So if anyone caught on last week that our made-up friend James was wasting 12% of his life vaping per year, please forgive my little tiny rounding issue and know that James is actually wasting 13.5% of his time calculated in hours vaping per year. More on James later, and that will all make more sense if you have already listened to last week's episode, which is episode number 34, called Taking Back Your Time Part 1. This week, we're going to dive into Taking Back Your Time Part 2, which I'm recording for you guys in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. If you're new to the show, welcome to the community. And if you've been listening for a while, you know by now how I love to have us all do exercises together that provide you with tons of strategy on how to quit for good. We did some exercises last week in Taking Your Time Back Part 1 that showed you how to get your numbers. So if you haven't listened to that episode, or if you were just listening passively and didn't have a chance to write your numbers down, make sure that you go back and listen to it with a pen and a piece of paper handy, or your phone and a calculator, and get those numbers written down. The numbers that I am referring to are your assessment of exactly how long you have been vaping. So that number could range from 1 day to 10 years. It is totally unique to you. And the other number that is extremely valuable to know is your vaping window. This is the amount of time that you spend vaping per day, which can range from a minute, let's say, but probably not, to several hours. And it's very important to be as specific about this amount of time as possible. Like we talked about last week, time is our most precious commodity, and sometimes we tend to take it for granted. So when you have a vaping addiction, it just takes a little bit of help to focus your attention on how to solve for an angle that will be really effective to use as part of your quitting strategy. And for myself and for so many of my clients and friends, time is an extraordinarily useful angle. So back to our made-up friend James, who I mentioned in the beginning of the show. We used an example last week of James who vapes for 3 hours and 15 minutes per day, but we didn't talk about how long he has vaped. So let's say that James has had the unfortunate experience of vaping for 4 years. How much of his precious time has he spent literally smoking? Like his time literally going up in smoke. So some quick and accurate math will show you that vaping for 3 hours and 15 minutes a day is the equivalent to 1,186 hours per year. And if you multiply that by 4, that comes to 4,745 hours per year spent vaping. What? And if you divide that number by 24 hours in a day, that comes out to 197.7 or so days spent vaping. And just stay with me here a little longer, okay? 197 days divided by roughly 30 days in a month totals over a little over 6.5 months. That is 6.5 months out of a 4-year period that our friend James has literally spent smoking. Let that sink in for yourselves, guys. The minutes add up. Every minute we spend vaping adds up to a percentage of our lives that is being used in a way that could surely be far better for us. You can't get back wasted time, but you can create more time in your life and the sense of replacing all of those wasted minutes vaping by doing things during that time that will instead bring you net joy in the future. Guys, our brains want to make quitting complicated by offering us distractions so that it can keep on getting dopamine from vaping because, well, that's what it has been conditioned to do since we got hooked. But the good news is that you can make your numbers work for you by being mindful of time and using your thoughts to reel your brain back into a place of mindful and healthy productivity. So, today I'm going to offer you 3 thoughts to try on and get very curious about time and how it relates to vaping in your life. And I want you to really think about it so that you can start strategically creating your vape free future. So, thought number 1, what did you do with your time before you started vaping? Think about your vaping window. Let's say you spend 2 hours a day literally smoking and vaping. What did you do with those 2 extra hours a day before you started vaping? Thought number 2, think about your vaping window again and ask yourself, why do you waste time on vaping? Let's use those 2 hours again as an example. Why have you normalized wasting 2 hours a day on vaping? So if your 2 hours is 1 hour or 3 hours and 15 minutes or 4 hours or more, whatever it is, make sure to plug in your own unique numbers as you think about these thoughts. And number 3, what would you do with that time in the future? What's your numbers, guys? What would you do with an extra 2 hours a day, in this case, if you weren't using it to vape? Let's think about James. What could James have done with the wasted 6.5 months over a 4-year time period that he vaped? Maybe he could have gone on a vacation or started a side business or used that time to work on his health positively instead of destroying it. Time is such a powerful motivator when you use it creatively to construct your thoughts on purpose. So know your numbers and borrow these thoughts to use time as a strategic angle to help you quit vaping for good. You spend time working for your money that gets wasted on vaping, and you spend time destroying your health with vapes. Take it back, my friends. Use these thoughts to think about how to prioritize your precious time over vaping by resetting your goal of quitting every single day. Taking your power back over your time is 100% available to you, and I can't wait to see you get started. Let me know how much time you've spent on vaping by sending me an email at hello@breakvapes.com. That's hello@breakvapes.com. And you can also find out about coaching using this email as well. That's it for now, everyone. Take care of yourselves, my friends, and I will see you next week. Bye.